ready to build resiliency, create a healthy lifestyle, and overcome adversity with a warrior mindset. This is Define the Fight with Mariah Prussia.
Hey, good morning, everybody. You know, every single day I'm excited, but when it comes to energy, when it comes to light and understanding different ways that we can heal our bodies instead of taking a pill, whatever that looks like. I mean, man, we are really blessed every single day that the opportunities are literally right in front of us. And today I am joined with Jeffrey Gaal. He is a quantum practitioner dedicated to elevating human consciousness and transforming the global experience of wellness. Not only that, he has more than 30 years that he has worked on the intersection of science, subtle energy, quantum physics, and nature to help individuals awaken their highest potential and reclaim mastery over their lives. Now that is packing a punch, Jeffrey. So I'm excited to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So, you know, I was explaining the show before. I brought up quantum practitioner, and two of the individuals looked at me and their jaws dropped. What is quantum physics or quantum practitioner? So I want to start, Jeffrey, first, because I know that's a commonly asked question because we're not hearing different terms like that. So what does define quantum practitioner or physics?
It's just really looking at things from a different perspective. It's really about energy, and everything is energy. Whether it's you, whether it's the table in front of you, the food you eat, everything is energy. And so when you talk quantum, that's what you're really relating to. It's just that next level. Maybe you can't see, and as years go on, we get to measure more and more, or smaller and smaller. Originally it was, we're made up of organs, and those organs are made up of tissue, and that tissue is made up of cells, and those cells are made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. And then deeper and deeper they got, it's really just energy. So we are really a multi-dimensional field of energy. Everything around us, we're electromagnetic beings, and everything around us is energy. And how that interacts with each other is really what the study becomes, that we're all interconnected, and every thought, every action, every process affects something else. So we tie to in physics or chemistry, where every action has a reaction. And so is it a positive one or is it a negative one? And that's really what we're talking about here, getting down to that level. And it's definitely an exciting journey or unfolding, and it's constantly changing and getting deeper and deeper.
And what I love is that people are awakening more and wanting to learn more in regards to different healing modalities. I mean, as you see in the last couple of years, whether it's Reiki, acupuncture, all of these different things are opening up more and more, and people are actively seeking it, which I think is a beautiful thing, where all of a sudden it's like the floodgates are starting to open, or the pineal gland or the pineal gland, however you want to pronounce it, is like, all right, we want more. Show us more, because what we're doing right now isn't working, and we're an overstressed, right? We're an overstressed society. And when you're talking about energies impacting us externally, and bringing it internally, how do we have a gate? Who is the gatekeeper, or how do we create healthy boundaries so that our physical body and spiritual body isn't impacted by those?
Sure. Well, if we take a look at it, here in the U.S. in 2024, we spent over $5 trillion on healthcare, yet we rank 40th in the world. So obviously something is not working. My formal education, I'm an electrical engineer. I worked in the aerospace industry. So I like numbers. I like facts. I like things I can measure, or formulas that I could run when I look at things. So it's obvious what we're doing as a society here in Western medicine is great for trauma, but maybe not necessarily for health. I mean, we're really in the disease management business here, where this is really not what I would call healthcare. I'd call it sick care, because that's really kind of where we land. So when you talk about the question you just posed, it all starts with us. One of the most important things that people need to be ready to embrace is that everything you have or don't have is all because of you. We can't look outside. Everybody wants to look outside. Everybody wants to give their power away to a practitioner or to a healer or to a whatever it might be that you're dealing with. It's really about standing in your power, taking total responsibility, and making better decisions. Now, we all understand we don't know what we don't know. So, how do we make better decisions? And that's where you need to start looking at what's available today in the marketplace or in diagnostics or in science. And those are the kind of things that I do. And I'm always looking for the latest and greatest so we can start taking responsibility. But just remember, everything is energy. And energy reacts with energy. It could be positive, it could be negative. And our greatest gift is a gift of discernment. The challenge is it's the least used gift that individuals have. Women tend to use it more so than men. You always hear women talk about, I feel this, I feel that, and men tend to want to think. It's really that feeling in your gut is that discernment, that gift, that blessing we've been given at birth in order to make the best possible decision for ourselves.
Well, and I think we've been programmed to rely on so many other aspects instead of, like you said, going internally. And that's where healing, and that's where, again, listening to our intuition. It's been turned off for so long, and now it's very important for us to turn that back on. I know that you have a very powerful mission statement, Jeffrey, and I want you to share what your mission statement is because, until we define our why, we really don't have a way. And I believe that our mission is bigger than ourselves. So I want you to share what that is with our listeners.
Yeah, years ago, I was, whether you call it a download, whether you call it a enlightening experience, or waking up in the morning and this was just resonating in my mind. It's always been to promote peace within and transform humanity by empowering individuals to achieve higher consciousness and sustained wellness. In this life, we have just one body. Okay, we need to take care of it. It's kind of like your home, it's your car. When it breaks down, or you need to be preventative in things. And so that's one piece, but it's also about being awakened consciously, subconsciously, or spiritually to the fact that we do have total control of what's going on. And a lot of what you hear, and I like to call it propaganda because it's not always positive, which is what we're bombarded with on a daily basis. Now we have these devices we carry around where constantly information is coming and going, and we're so overwhelmed with that data. And it's all about listening to your truth. And it's okay to listen to information, internalize, see how that makes you feel, use that discernment, and start making the best possible choices for you, which is why some of the other things I've been working on is developing, genetic, epigenetic, methylation, intracellular micronutrient tests that gives you a real blueprint of what's going on in your body. So you could personalize your life choices, or epigenetics, what you eat, what you do, how you exercise, how you control stress, the people you have in your life or don't have in your life, the environment that you live in. All of those different lifestyle factors play a massive role. And remember, everything is interconnected. So when I look at the body, I look at you as this multidimensional electromagnetic field. And we're in a state of balance with a capital B, or homeostasis. That's our main state that our energy always tends to go towards. But then we're exposed to what I like to call energy interrupters, whether that's negative thoughts, whether that's low vibration foods, whether that's a toxic environment, toxic relationships, gravity, piercing, scars, tattoos. All of these things are energy interrupters. So it brings us further and further out of balance. Whatever state that energy's in manifests physically. So when someone says, I've been diagnosed with this or I have this symptom, what I hear is because of your level of out of balance, it's manifest physically. So what do you want to do? We want to create the right environment for our bodies to be back in balance. See, we're what's called autopoietic, which is self-adjusting, self-organizing. Our body's constantly trying to get into homeostasis. The challenge is the environment we create for it. And by the way, a lot of that is free will. The food you choose to eat, the lifestyle you choose to live, the friends you choose to hang out with, the part of the country you choose to live in, all of it, what you listen to. You know, people talk about feeding the body and they want to get into really healthy things they put in their body. But what about feeding the mind?
Mm-hmm.
The mind is powerful. And if you're feeding it a bunch of garbage, guess what happens? The end results that you experience today. So it's so powerful and it's so interconnected, but really it's so simple. If you just really sit into it and think about it and really go within, all that information is there for you. And it's just about listening to it, standing in your own power versus giving your power away. And that's what the average human tends to want to do.
Well, they're always seeking solution, and I want feedback. I need to hear this instead of, hey, hold on, I'm going to listen to my own temple, and what is it telling me to do, or what is it calling me to do? You know, we're going to go into a quick break here, Jeffrey, but when we come back, you know, you made a valid point in regards to stop feeding the diagnosis. In my words, that's how I took that. So when we come back, I want to talk about how you work with your clients and help bring them to that balance and back into alignment in life. So we'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with Jeffrey Gaal and talking about energy and taking control within your own life. This popped into my head is that we need to stop being the passenger and become the driver in our life and in our health. And Jeffrey has made some great points in regards to we can take control in so many different ways. Stop giving it away and step back into your power. Now, Jeffrey, I want to know when you are working with individuals, right? So it's very common for individuals to feed that diagnosis and become the victim of like, oh, well, this is what the doctor told me and this is where I'm going to sit and I'm just going to hold on to that energy and hold on to the space, and they become smaller and smaller, or the weight becomes heavier and heavier. When you have clients that come in to you or people that you work with, what do you commonly see and how do you help them work through different ways so that they can step back into their strength?
Sure. Well, it's definitely from a multi-pronged approach. So it's not just one thing. I mean, there's the on a physical end or diagnostics end, because of the fact that as individuals today, we're so programmed that in medicine, they take some blood work and they're looking for biomarkers and what's going on in your body, right? I mean, and that's how you're being diagnosed. And they're really treating symptoms. It's like, you know, I have this pain, I have this issue, and that's the focus. And then you go start moving now in Western medicine all the way to where you have what's called functional medicine doctors. And they're really treating the entire body. So they're saying it's not about treating the symptom or this small area, this organ. It's really addressing the whole body. But see, as you step back more and you start getting into that quantum piece, it's really that you need to treat the entire mind, body, and spirit. So there's so much more because there's so many reasons why. So it's about first taking responsibility. When I sit with a patient or someone that I'm working with, that's the first step. You need to take responsibility for everything that's going on with you. And the reason why it's so critical is once you take responsibility, you are now empowered to make the changes. If I put it all into someone else's hands, now I'm saying there's nothing I can do. I become that victim of the situation. Somebody else is going to fix it. And really, you're the only one who could fix it. By the way, even when you go to we'll call it an energy healer, there's a lot of people out there that are doing that, or maybe purporting to do that. A healer does not heal anything. A healer holds the space for you as an individual to heal yourself. So it's all about a personal journey. And that's probably the most critical piece I need to get people to embrace first off. It's all yours. We'll help you in any way that we can. So then we look at from on a physical basis, because we do need to understand things. You have things called genetic predisposition, what you receive from your parents and grandparents. So there's things on a physical end, and you could have genetic variants along with what's called methylation or intracellular micronutrients, what's going on inside the cells. So it's important to have some diagnostics. We need data, right? We need to look at where are you today based on all your lifestyle choices. Let's take a snapshot today. And that's what the company I helped create called Genetic Lifespan. We have a test called Age Code that actually is the only test in the world combining all those pieces in one test. So we're now going to get a blueprint physically. So that's one piece. But now we need to go to conscious and subconsciously, because even if we start fixing the physical, you start making better lifestyle choices, meaning what you eat, what you drink, exercise, sleep patterns, breathing, intermittent fasting, all of these different factors. If your thoughts are garbage, that's going to fight each other. You want it to support each other and to be in alignment with each other. So now you need to look at those thoughts. And, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, two very extremely successful, intelligent, bright individuals, discovered and validated years ago that our brain is the most powerful transmitter and receiver. Whatever thoughts go out, the universe responds to giving us those experiences to continue to have those thoughts. Now, here's the thing. The universe doesn't judge. They don't look, is this a good thought? Is this a bad thought? They just give you those experiences. So if you're thinking negative all the time, poor me, and you're using very low vibration verbiage or making comments and having thoughts, those are the experiences you get back. And so we want to change that. So it becomes a process. It's like breaking a habit or creating a habit is a 21 days every single day. So you have to work at it at the beginning. And there's 4 levels of learning. There's you're at this place of unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. So that unconscious incompetence, we don't know what we don't know. Conscious incompetence means I now realize I don't know. When you're a child and you're asked to tie your shoelace, you realize you don't know. Then it becomes conscious competence. I'm going to show you and you're going to do it, but you have to think about it before you do it. And ultimately you get to unconscious competence where we don't even think about it, we do it. And we do that with driving a car. You leave work and all of a sudden you're at home and you don't even realize how you got there because it was an unconscious process. We need to get your thinking that way. The challenge is most people suffer from stinking thinking. And again, it's all the programs coming in. It's all what our parents, our family, all of this environment has created. It's a learned behavior, we'll say. So that's a pattern we need to fix. We need to break that pattern of where it was to now putting out the right thoughts. Now, by the way, when you manifest or put out those thoughts, you want to be focused on what you want and not what you don't want. Mm-hmm. People tend to think about what they don't want. So guess what you're attracting? Experience to give you what you don't want. Thinking about what you want will give you experiences of what you want. So it comes down to, how do I know if I'm thinking the right things or not? For me, we've been blessed with this amazing gift of discernment, and how you feel in your gut will always tell you how you're thinking. So if you're going through the day and you start feeling bad, you need to stop for a second. This is a part where we need to take responsibility. This is that exercise of changing patterns, and you need to catch yourself. What am I thinking? Why do I feel so bad right now? Why do I feel so angry right now? Why do I feel so anxious right now? And then you need to change those thoughts. Your feelings are never wrong, they're always right. It's your thinking that we need to adjust. So your job, and this is what I work with individuals besides the multitudes of things I shared with you,
Yep.
is when you wake up every morning, you need to take a reading, a gauge. How do I feel at this moment? And your job, if you just do one thing, focus on feeling better. It's always about feeling better, because as you're feeling better, the experiences change to bring those feelings. And it's now like a dominoes, it gets better and better and better. Feeling bad and continuing to feel worse is going to bring you worse and worse experiences. And we've all seen this with everyone's got at least one family member that everything negative happens to, and they are the most negative person you've ever met. They are creating their own life.
The Debbie, we
So
call those the Debbie Downers. The Debbie Downers, right? It's true.
exactly. And
We're,
we all have them in our life.
oh, we do. And I love the fact of you bringing up in the morning, assess your emotions. So I know Napoleon Hill had also stated doing an emotional audit in the morning and then visualizing, hey, why am I feeling these emotions? Start shifting and then visualize what you want to come into play. We're going to go into a quick break here, Jeffrey. But when we come back, I love the fact of you identifying and sharing the fact of how powerful our thoughts are, because we can get wrapped in those. The monkey brain can go, and all of a sudden we're getting hit with everything left and right. And, I want to share one really quick thing before our break is I looked at the fact of getting bills in the mail when I was financially struggling. I changed it from bills to fan mail. And every single time I got something in the mail, I was smiling. I'm like, all right, it's just fan mail. I've got another one. Here we go. So if you're stuck in that spot, make sure that you start flipping the switch into positivity and see what happens. We'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with Jeffrey Gaal. And we look at health. Health is wealth. So if you are not feeling that your quality of life is where you want it to be, then let's start taking action and moving in a positive direction, because that's what it's all about. Is you have an opportunity. We're here for one life. But the reality is you have to be the driver. Let's get into that driver's seat and start moving forward. But also define a little bit deeper on what that looks like. And my question for you, Jeffrey, is when we look at spiritual, I know that is very, very broad and it is defined differently by every single individual. But I also know that if somebody starts having back pain or if there's an ailment that occurs, usually it's when there's peak stress that's happening in life, or there's a larger period of growth that is coming too. So I'm curious, from your perspective, how does the spiritual piece of ourselves impact the physical body?
Yeah, that's a very big discussion. And again, I don't want to, when we talk about spiritual, we don't want to get into the religious context, because people get
Correct.
really close to that. What's your religion and what do you believe? And this has nothing to do with religion. This has to do with, that's why I reference Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison. This has to do with energy. And early in our conversation, I told you everything is energy. Every thought, every word, everything around us and within us. So there is effects on all of that. So when people are under tremendous stress, let's just look at stress.
Yep.
Obviously, your physical body has things going on, and you can measure these with diagnostics, where you'll do these tests and they'll say, wow, your system's under tremendous stress. You have tremendous inflammation, and we all know inflammation is the root cause of most dis-ease states. So everything is interconnected, which, by the way, what is exactly what quantum entanglement is about. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, and everything within and around you are all interconnected and all interacting with each other. But on that end of your thoughts going on, let's say, because it is your thoughts. And by the way, you have total control. Although I know sometimes people say, I don't have control of my thoughts. You do. It just takes some effort. And sometimes it's as simple as focus on solution versus focus on the problem. You talked a little bit about bills earlier. You said these bills are, and you just changed your focus. What it meant to you. It wasn't, oh my God, another bill I got to pay.
Yeah.
It was, wow, it's fan mail. This is awesome. So I tell people all the time, you can leave all your problems in the car. You don't need to lock the door, because I promise you no one will steal it. When you come back up from our appointment, your problems are all still there. The idea is to focus on solutions. And so that's just a simple switch. Instead of saying, how am I going to pay these bills? I'm going to pay these bills. It turns to, what more can I be doing? What other opportunities are out there? How can I expand? It's just simple thought changes. So when you talk about that, we'll talk about an energetic effect instead of spiritual. Sometimes people, like I said, tie that to something a little bit woo-woo or
I gotcha.
religious.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that, it carries this weight and it interacts with our body. And there's some great books out there. Louise Hayes, she's been around for a long time, and she's created some really great books that actually talk about, when you have lower back pain, what it could be on an energetic basis, not just the fact, people say, well, listen, I was in an accident, I hurt my back. Well, by the way, you manifested that accident. You created it. Why did you create the accident? It was because what you were thinking. And what were you thinking? It all goes back to energy. It's all interconnected. And that's the whole thing, is that back is tied to something. The lower back is finances, and the shoulders have to do with carrying the weight of the world. And so it's all about how you think or how you treat life. So there is a direct correlation, definitely. And so whenever you are in injury or in pain or in some kind of distressed state, you always need to go back to, and that's that whole thing about being quiet and go within. All the answers are there. You need to go back and ask yourself, what am I thinking? What is it that's going through my mind? And don't put any constraints on it. It's almost like this meditative state where you're asking the universe to reveal to you, show me. And every night before I go to bed, I always do that. I ask the universe to show me if there's things I'm missing, there's things I need to be working on, there's things that could make my life better, that can make my surroundings better, affect the people around me in a more positive mode. And it's just putting out that energy, and it will always be answered. Whether you hear it, whether you remember it, that's a whole nother piece. But that information is there. And those are the questions you should be asking, instead of, why me, pity me, this always happens to me. I'd be asking, what is it I keep thinking about that continues to give me these experiences?
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful. And I think I used to have a hard time going into sacred silence. I did, where it was, I would go as soon as I had a moment by myself as a single mom raising two boys. If they were gone for the evening, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with myself? So I sat there, and then all of a sudden I'd get anxious. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go do this. And what I was doing is I was actually escaping healing. There was a lot of different things that were coming into play during that time frame, and it scares people because now all of a sudden it's like you're diving into the emotional trenches, and sometimes you're just not ready for it. But I think the key thing is for people to understand is you don't have to unpack it all at once, and it's scary, right? It's very, very scary, but at the same point, if you continue to stuff it, it's going to come back even bigger, and it's going to try to, instead of snow, it's going to be an avalanche, and all of a sudden it's going to knock you down at once. And I'm assuming, too, that you've experienced things in your life, Jeffrey, where it's like, hold on, I just need to take a pause here and go inward so that I can identify and work through this trauma or work through this healing, because none of us are broken. We have things that we've all experienced, but we have the opportunity to become whole again. I think we're just missing different pieces or different gaps that are there. Now it's like, okay, let's move forward. And how do we do so?
Yes. Well, and really it's a multitude of things, because sometimes it's as simple as change your environment. Maybe the closest people in your life are part of the issue. I mean, those are sometimes hard things to hear, but it's everything, right? It's a totality. And by the way, for a lot of people, and I remember when I first learned to meditate, it was horrendous what I went through. It was difficult. I thought, why would people ever do this? Because I couldn't shut my mind off. It just kept racing and racing and racing. With all the more I said, clear your mind, the more things I thought about. So it really is an exercise of getting there. But by the way, for meditation, for some get that when they hike. When they're hiking in wilderness, they get all their like mind is open up. Sometimes it's going for a car ride. Sometimes, by the way, it is working out. When people work out, they're kind of in this Zen place. So there is no, this is the only way to do it. You need to find out what puts you in the most relaxed state, because when you're in that relaxed state, that's when you can hear, that's when you can listen, that's when you can that's when you're opened up to this type of information. And you are right, it is at the beginning, it's hard, you're learning something new, and the more and more you do it, the easier that process becomes. And then this whole new world of enlightenment opens up, and you realize, I am a powerful being. We all came on this planet as powerful beings. You're very powerful. And by the way, a lot of things we went to, those traumas or whatever, there's a lot of learned behavior. Remember, our parents did the best they can do when we were children. There is no real handbook, as we all know. Until you have a child, you don't realize what having a child means. You're never fully prepared, because it's an experiential process. And so all of those learned behaviors, all of those bad habits, all of that propaganda maybe we listen to. That's why I don't watch the news at night anymore. People watch the news and go to bed, and guess where their mind is? On all this negative stuff going on. I'm not talking about not being aware of what's going on in the world or in your own city, but it's not about taking that all in and going to bed. It's like eating, a steak before bed. Your body can't digest it. So you should think about the mind the same way. And you need to have things to calm the system then. And all these things begin to fall into place because they're all interconnected and interrelated, which, by the way, is quantum. It is energy. Nothing is separated. It's all within.
I think it's a key point, as you said, that we don't have to take everything in. We are not here to be trash collectors, right?
Correct.
Or emotion collectors, whatever that looks like. So if you have been driving that truck, get off the truck and put the trash to the side. And right now, this is your opportunity. Like I said, we are being called to heal at a deeper level than we've ever been called before. And literally, the time is now. So we're going to go into a quick break and come back with Jeffrey, because, the reality is we have so much to do. We have so much to give. But until we define the fight, how do we expect to win the fight? We'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with Jeffrey Gaal, and I just want to share how his career has really spanned. I mean, it's a wide spectrum. So from quantum physics, subtle energy, vibrational medicine, regenerative medicine, epigenetics, it goes on and on. I'm looking at biohacking, wellness and anti-aging, nutrition, aerospace, technology, business coaching. I thought I wore a lot of hats, and I didn't even list 50% of what he does. I want to know, for you, with wearing all of these different hats, clearly I know that your goal is to help individuals really connect, become strong, empower, but true leaders make sacrifices in their life. So with wearing so many hats that you have, where do you feel, or what has left the most impact on you?
Wow, deep question. First off, I always trust this process of unfolding potential. You and I had a little interaction on this,
Yep.
and I trust I'm being led to the places I'm supposed to be, or do the things I'm supposed to do. And as you mentioned things, those are all like little puzzle pieces. But when you step back, and this is where I am in my life, is all those little pieces actually built this beautiful puzzle, or this beautiful image. And what this beautiful image goes back to defining exactly what the mission that I've been living by, which is all about what's going on with you, on a spiritual and energetic basis. It's tied to sustained wellness, and it's tied to collective consciousness, meaning it's all about coming from a place of love as we interact with everything in nature, every individual, every experience. And so some of it seems different, or it's like, wow, you've done some different things. It really becomes a part of the full picture. And so I don't know if it's any one thing. They've all had different effects on me, from even some spiritual awakenings. I've had some things happen to me that are really, have opened my eyes, or almost in a sense, and I hate the word force, but it forced me to take a different look at things. And, sometimes we have to be humbled in order to be receptive. And so all of these experiences are so critical to actually build that roadmap, we'll call it, or that end image, or what my life and what I'm here on this planet in this life to actually do and to accomplish or to evolve to. So it's just all those pieces have fit together. I don't know if there's any one thing. Obviously, when you're driving down the road, you'll see that rearview mirror is very tiny, and that's because what's happened already has happened. It's over. What you have is this huge windshield, and that's what's in front of you. Beautiful. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is we look at life through a radar screen. If you think about a radar screen, when air traffic controllers are looking at planes coming in and out, the radar screen that we're focused on is about 3 inches in diameter to 5 inches in diameter. But the reality is it's 100 feet in diameter. So as we're putting out our thoughts and our feelings, the universe is moving mountains, creating all these different experiences to deliver what we're truly manifesting from both a thought and feeling perspective. And so the biggest takeaway for me in a lot of cases has been trust the process. It's all about surrendering to the process. And I'm not talking about just trusting and believing everything, but using your discernment for that process. And as long as it continues to feel good and right, stop questioning every little thing and go down that path. The faster you surrender to that, as long as it feels that high vibration, the quicker things begin to happen and come to you. So with that, it's led me, like I said, to create a new company, to bring out some diagnostics that are so far advanced, giving you a blueprint physically to help you make way better lifestyle choices. And then we all know on that conscious subconscious end, that's tied to how we feel. So when you combine those two things together, I believe that I am accomplishing the mission that I've been resonating or living within for the last 30 years of my life.
I love that. And, I feel that every single person is getting guided in some way. Sometimes we just ignore the nudge, and then sometimes the nudge turns into a shove until now all of a sudden you have nowhere to go except to open that door. So make sure that you're paying attention to the smallest little signs. We get caught or wrapped up in being the hamster in the wheel. Like you said, the radar gun, it's going fast. So when you're on that road, there's a reason why there's rest stops. Sometimes we just need to pull to the side of the road, observe, take a deep breath, and then continue to move forward. That isn't being lazy. That isn't being, the lack of action. Sometimes the lack of action or no action is actually action. So just pause for a second. And one thing too is I'm excited to circle back with you, Jeffrey, because I did, talking about epigenetics and age code and taking the test. I just received my results last week. I just haven't had a time to sit down and really process so if you've never taken the test, so it is geneticlifespan.com. And if you go to /define the fight, you guys, you can find it there. And 70 some pages of results reports to know your biological age, your pace of aging. You're looking at the health of your organs, nutrient deficiencies. Where are you at? I mean, there's so so much more. And you can find that on their website too. But Jeffrey, I want to thank you so much with all of the different things that you are bringing in to this lifetime to help empower and improve individuals so that they can really see on a deeper level of what health is. And I want to know how individuals can connect with you to reach out for more information on your services.
Sure. You can reach out to me via my cell. Text message or call is fine. It's 949-254-3624. And by the way, when you review your test results, if you're looking for a little guidance on how to read it or what we're actually measuring, I'd be more than happy to share that information with you. So I am here and available to support you on that as well.
I appreciate that very much. So thank you so much for making the time today. I look forward to staying connected with you, Jeffrey, because that's what life is all about.
Likewise. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. So until you define the fight, how do you expect to win the fight? So go out there and live life to the fullest, because that's what we're here for. Have a great day.